Right, guys, welcome back. Got you onto the coin telegraph today. I want to talk about so many different things. I may be having some messages come through, but we'll talk about that later. So basically, there's a lot of FUD, a lot of crazy stuff going on. Obviously, one of those news FUD was regarding Binance. So Binance in Ontario ceases operation. Binance in UK was ordered to not do anything. But there's a lot more things going on. A lot of people don't understand. So we're going to have a nice little talk about this. And I'm going to show you some charts as well, some fascinating stuff on the chart. And we'll talk about options. Because there was a big question the other day. So I thought, you know what, instead of doing one video at a time, let me just gather it all together and talk about options and how options work. So regarding Binance, right? Binance, right? So let's go and find something about Binance. Oh no, 1 second. Let's just check FCA Binance. So I'll explain to you a lot more about what's going on. Financial watchdog. Yeah, we'll forget all of that. I don't want to know about that. Consumer warning. Okay, here we go. Let me explain this to you. So you'll see all sorts of stuff, but I want you to understand something about how it works, right? So if we look at this particular area here, this zone here, Binance Market Limited is not permitted to undertake any regulated activity in the UK. Now, just soak that in. Any regulated activity in the UK. The firm is part of a wider group, Binance Group. Due to the imposition of the requirements by the FCA, Binance Markets Limited is not currently permitted to undertake any regulated activities without prior written consent of the FCA. Not Binance Group, Binance Markets Limited, which is a new registered company in the UK, right? And then here it says, no other entity in the Binance Group holds any form of UK authorization, registration or license to conduct regulated activity. Remember the word regulate. Now, a lot of people don't know this. Once you are regulated by the FCA to do certain things, you can actually have an FCA guarantee on your on finance products. For example, all the banks in the UK that have an FCA license put down a deposit money. I know a lot about it because I've been in this game a long time. In fact, I deal with these guys. So what is, you can put a deposit money down, it's like a backup, and they will give you consumer protection of up to £85,000. For example, for banks, it's £85,000. If you put a higher deposit, you can have up to £100,000. So that's what FCA does. So Binance really is trying to do something good here. Okay. The one mistake Binance made was Binance announced it too early. They shouldn't have announced it. Okay, these things can take anything from 6 months to 2 years, even more. There are cases where it's taken even more. So what you need to understand is Binance shouldn't have announced it to people. Oh, look, Binance UK is coming out. You shouldn't have said that. Just wait for this to come and then deal with it, right? Binance as a website, Binance as a company is not affected, right? Obviously, if there's a situation, whereas in the only situation that they can do is they might be blocking Binance's bank accounts in the UK and say, oh, you can't have a bank account. That's how they would ban Binance. They literally can't ban them. You can still have the activity. It doesn't matter. They might do an IP block and say, oh, no, anybody trading with Binance, you're going to be banned. You can't use it. Binance will take precautions regarding that as well. So don't worry too much about those stuff. Binance is always one step ahead, right? So as you can see, the Binance Group appeared to be offering UK customers a range of products and services via the website Binance.com. So they're not happy. They're not happy that, this happened. But remember, FCA, Financial Conduct Authority, is nothing but a watchdog, right? Of course, they have certain powers that people have given them on a legal basis, right? But technically by law, law and legal is two different things, as I'm sure many of you know. They really can't stop Binance doing anything. But Binance wants to be regulated. You see, this is the key a lot of people need to understand. Binance applied because Binance wants to be regulated. Now, a lot of people don't know this. Coinbase was not regulated. Coinbase, even to this day, does not have an FCA regulation. Think about that. So if you put them both together, Coinbase has been around since 2012. Binance has been around since 2017. I know what the media is doing. So Reuters and, what was the other one? Forbes and this and that. They just exploded. And you know how they are. They buy the news, right? They all exploded talking about how this is the situation. Actually, no, it's something else. Binance wants to be regulated, so Binance could give users good protection, legal protection. That's a win for me. That's a win for me. So I think Binance is definitely doing what it can, and Binance is going to throw some money at them. Clearly, they want some more money. So Binance wants to be regulated. Binance wants to be an actual institution, right, in the legal manner. So then people are not going to be fishy or like iffy about basically, oh, should I join or should I not join, or are they regulated? Are they not regulated? This is giving you your financial safety. Right? If FCA approve and if Binance has applied, then Binance wants to get the FCA approval. Binance wants to do it legally, and Binance wants to protect your assets in the financial way. So that's all it is. And then after that, beware of adverts and this and that. So they're just complete, other stuff they're talking about. But this is the main thing you need to understand. Binance Market is not permitted. Binance Market Limited is a United Kingdom company. Binance Group is a global company. It's got offices in multiple places. I mean, Binance could literally operate from anywhere if they wanted. I mean, they can operate from Cayman Island for all I care, right? Nobody can touch them. They're not going to be stopped. As long as there's internet, they're not going to be stopped. The only way the governments or anybody can object or stop them is that if they shut down all the bank accounts and they say, well, you can't handle this money anymore. That's the thing. If they control money, they control you. This is why we love crypto. We can't be controlled by anything. Now, what do we want to talk about now? Okay, before I go to the charts, or actually, let me go to the charts first, and then I'll come back and talk about the options, right? Options is a very special thing we want to talk about today. Okay, so we've got the global market cap of, let me see if I've refreshed it. Yes, I've refreshed it. So $1.3 billion global market cap. We've got 10,600 new shitcoins. And on the 24-hour volume is very low. The volume is very low, but we're going to have a deep look at that and see what's going on. So we've got very low volume. The dominance for BTC is at 47. It's trying to hover break. Ethereum dominance is dropping a little bit, but there's going to be something else for Ethereum as well. I'm not going to show you a chart, but I'll just tell you. See this EIP 1559? We know it's coming out in July. It's been locked already running on the test nets. Some of the main test nets, Rapston and this and that running. It's going to be active very soon. I've got a feeling probably not in July, maybe more closer to August, right? It might be. And if it does activate, then you'll see the dominance come back in. I think everybody pumped it up, and now they're just holding back a little bit for it to be active, because there's a bit of uncertainty whether the miners will reject or something will happen, whether the chain continues, a lot of stuff. So that you got to understand there's a lot of stuff. But EIP just changes the fee structure, nothing else. Remember, this does not change the proof of work to proof of stake. Proof of stake is still a long way away. 2.0, F2.0 is a long way away. Okay, so what have we got here? We've got $36 billion in the market right now. Ethereum, my God, look at that, 19 billion. Do you remember once upon a time where this was? Oh my God, we were doing like 100 billion. Okay, here we're doing, it's basically 1/3 of Bitcoin. Right. Also, have a quick look at this, by the way. This is very important. Have a quick look at this. You've got around $62 billion of Tether. And this is just Tether, by the way. I'm not talking about the other ones. For example, you got Tether, you got USDC, you've got Binance USD, you've got HUSD. So many different USD pegs, right? When you look at them, when you combine them, they're probably about 30% of the whole market cap, the amount of money sitting, because you've got to combine them all to see it. You can't just look at one and say, oh, that's it. Because if you look at it, it's kind of misleading. It would say, oh, well, it's only 62 billion. It's not 62 billion. If you look further, you'll see 20, 30, 40, and a lot more. There's a lot of money stuck in USDT. Right, let's go and have a look at the dominance and see what the dominance is doing right now. So we're looking at Bitcoin dominance, nothing else actually here. So on the Bitcoin dominance, remember the other day I said that there was a falling wedge basically forming here, a very slightly sloping line here. So what's happened is we are bouncing around this particular line. So it seems like we held support here, which is fantastic. And now we're going to basically try and attempt to break this. I think if we do break this, we're going to come to this. Listen, guys, if BTC goes back into the dominance level of 50, 60, of course, altcoins take the biggest hit, right? But if BTC then continues to have a higher price and a higher highs, not in here, I'll show you on the next chart, we are going to end up basically making another run towards the bull run, right? So right now, of course, it's a bit of bearish. It was a bit bearish, but nothing too worried. Remember, when BTC dominance kept on dropping, altcoins started pumping. So basically, it's coming back into Bitcoin season. Not altcoin season yet, but it will come back, right? Market is being held up by both parties equally, I would say. Right. So this is the chart I was showing you yesterday, and I have put the fibs back on. I have put the fibs back on because what you have to understand is the fibs are very important. I know some people don't like the fibs, but the fibs are very important. So here you can see, right, we are facing resistance on the Fibonacci 0.5. All right, so this is where we were facing that. Here you can see we found support at the Fibonacci 236 level, right? So we found the Fibonacci as a support, and here it was a resistance the other day, and now it's become a support, right? So when we look at all of this, we understand that fibs are very important. Now I want to show you some other things as well, right? So what did I do here? Oh, ignore that. This is just me just messing around. Ignore that. This is something else. So these are basically where we need to get above, right? So this is the longer time. This is a shorter time. On the longer time, what you're looking at is this is the level. This is the specific line we need to get above, right? So it's still a long way to go. I'm not going to bother too much on this chart today. But remember, we're still within the wedge. Stay within the wedge. Let's move it to here. Now, this is something I want to show you. This is something I've prepared for you. Okay, so I've sat there and I've just prepared it. All I've done was put a fib here, put a box here, and put a bunch of lines here. Right, let me explain to you. We'll explain the fibs later. Let's come here. So we know this was where the March 20 dump, right? And then this is where theoretically, you know, we had the year end. So in the December, we had the year end here, just here, the year ended. And you know, everything was great. And we do know that we started seeing a lot more institution join us at the beginning of 2021. This is why I've got this. So I've got all of it. This is mostly retail, the old existing people just playing the market and getting in, some new guys, some old guys, but not heavy institutions. Then we come into 2021. We come into 2021 and we start playing around with these kind of prices. And what we're talking about here is actually options. So options start on the beginning of a month and always end on the last Friday of every month. So each line is the last Friday. As you can see, when we were playing around, it didn't matter. When the institutions came in, they said, well, we like this. And I'll explain more how option works within this. So they started saying, okay, we don't have to physically buy a Bitcoin. We don't have to leverage trade a Bitcoin, but we can do a form of a derivative tradings. We can trade it and bet on it and still get it at the rate we want without actually putting too much money down. So it's low risk, very low risk. We can do that. We can promise to pay a certain amount, right? And we can say, right, we want to do a call option, right? Which means we say we're calling the price is going to be 10,000. Just as an example, we're sitting at 1,000 and we're saying the price is going to be 10,000 in a month's time. But we only have to pay £100 to enter. So they pay £100 rather than spending their £1,000, £100 as a fee. Just think about it as a fee. They'll pay that and then they'll open the trade and they say, we promise to buy at 10,000. Market decides to go at 20,000. Guess what? By the time this option expires, if a thing went to 20,000, they still pay 10,000 because they only promised to pay 10,000. So they pay the difference, they get to keep it. Same thing when they do a put, right? Which is basically a, what do you call this? Put call, call is up and put is going down, right? So we're going to sell. So they say, right, we believe the price is going to go from 20,000 to 1,000, all right? So we are prepared to pay 1,000 in the future price. So whatever the fees are, 10%, 5%, 1%, whatever, you pay the fee. Price comes all the way down here, goes down to 0. Well, they just pay 1,000. That's what they do. They sell it for 1,000. They decide what price they sell it for, right? If it comes to that price. And if it doesn't, then they lose their trade. That's what it is. So the bookmaker or the guys, the platform, the options platform, they make money regardless which direction it goes. That's the fee they will have to take. That fee they will be paid regardless. They decide how much to put on 10, 20, 30%, whatever. They'll take that money. And I'm going to try and explain it more in layman's terms in a little bit, right? So that's what happens. The buyer or the seller only pays the price he put on that call or on that put, right? So when he put that order in, that's the price he'll pay, because it's a prediction. He's saying, okay, that's the price I'm willing to pay for it in a month's time. Now, majority of these have started to become monthly trends. So what you see is in the beginning of the month, you see all these calls coming in, right? So you see the options coming in beginning of the month, right? So just after the last one was closed, you see this pump. And then what you see on the last Friday, so this is the last Friday, just before the last Friday, it starts to dump. Because remember, as I said to you, nobody's dumb. Everybody knows what date it expires. You know, a lot of people get shocked when they, oh, we had so many options expire today. Well, the guy who's trading option, he already knows that. He already knows that. So what you're seeing here, options, and then, you know, just before the expiry, you see the expiry should happen here. But just before the expiry, people just dumped it and then ended up picking it up again, climbed it even higher. So he made, whoever this person was, even if he lost money here, he made more money here than he would have made here. They already know what day it expires. Everybody knows when it expires. We all know it expires on the last day of, last Friday of the month. Some people do it on other days, like, you know, they'll do it on the first Monday or something, but usually it's the last Friday because it's a traditional thing. And who do you think's playing this? Traditional markets. Because mostly around here, you can see we don't play this stuff. We don't. This is the boys that just entered the market, basically. This is what they know. They're experienced in this, and that's what they do, right? That's exactly what they do. We don't do this kind of stuff, right? So what are we looking at? So what we've got here is, obviously this is from January. So January options expire down here. These guys start selling, start pumping it back up. Options expire here, as you can see, a few days late. And then this is Monday, by the way. This is Monday. Coincidentally, this is Monday, right? So options expire here. This is Monday. So you see what I'm trying to say? This is Monday. So you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Look at this. Monday opens up, right? You can do the same here, right? Expires here. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right? So here's Monday candle. So what you notice is every time there's a Monday candle, that will pump it up. Monday candle, pump it up. Monday candle, pump it up, right? You see what I'm trying to show you here? Monday candle, pump it up, right? Comes down, whatever happens, right? And then this is the only time when, so this was the 65K. This is the only time where basically nobody bothered. Everyone just said, okay, probably. Now what I'm looking at this, I'm seeing something, and forget the percentage, forget all of this. I'm just counting the days. When I'm looking at this yellow area, what I'm seeing is probably there were not enough calls, because they were not calling for it to go up. I think everybody was calling for it to go down. So it went down, right? That's all it did, it just went down. And then same thing happened here. So you can see this is the scenario where, you know, we should have been down, but there have been battle, indecisive. And then here it dumped. But then options expired just the other day. And just before the options expired, look at this. They started pumping again, right? And then on the day it expired, and then look, pump again, right? Now, let's get into this options a little bit more. So you, let's have a scenario here. Let's have a scenario, right? And I'll talk about this in a bit, right? So let's do a scenario. Let's find a blank space. Okay, so person A, right, has a house. Person A has a house. Person A wants to sell the house, okay, for 100,000, or just say 100, for example, 100. That's the person who wants to sell, right? So we just put a pound sign here, right? Let's say this. So person A wants to sell a house for 100, but person A currently only has, right? Let's do this, land. He doesn't have a house yet. He's saying in the future, I will be, so he says, person A says, I'm selling a house for 100, but I only have a land. And in the future, I will be selling this house for 100. Who wants to buy? So person B, who is the buyer, right? So we've got buyer, says, okay, I will buy for the £100. So I will buy for £100. How much deposit do I need to pay? So person A says, you just need to pay deposit of 10. Right? Very simple. Deposit of 10. So person A says, I'm selling a house for 100, but currently I only have land. I need to build on this land, so I need money. So person B says, fine, I'll buy your house for 100 in the future. Now, if it takes your options expiry, right? So your option would be, okay, fine. Is it in next month, next year, 5 years? So person A says 5 years time, for example, or says 1 month time, and it will expire on this specific date. So this is what this person has promised. And this person says, fine, I'll buy at that price. right? I agree to buy at that price, and this is the deposit I'm going to pay. So this, regardless which direction it goes, person A gets to keep. Now, say for example, a month later, the house is built. Person A has decided or agreed to sell this. Remember, there was an option. So this person has taken the option, and now person B only pays 90 plus some fees, or I'll just put plus F, plus some fees, and deal is done. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand what that is? So person A sold a house for 100, but 100 would be the price in the future, and he only has land at the moment. Person B says, I will buy for 100. So he said, I will buy for 100. That's his call. So he just put a call. He said, I will buy for 100. This person then says, so person A says, give the deposit of 10. He paid the deposit of 10 to lock that price. And in the future, when it was complete and within the date of expiry, this man paid up 90 to the thing, and he paid his fees, and he got his property. Now, this same property, the scenario we're looking at, this same property, let's make it larger. So the same property itself, right? Sorry, one second. Yeah, so imagine this, the same property now. So the property, we're talking about P as the property. Let's put a P here and talk about the property. So we got P for the property. Property is actually worth 200, right? Remember, he put this is the option he had. The option was that I'm going to sell you a house. I'm going to sell you a house. One second. So I'm going to sell you a house that is worth 100 in the future. And currently it's just land. This person says, well, I believe it's going to be worth more. I'm happy to buy for 100, but I need to only pay you deposit of 10. So the person pays the deposit of 10, right? And then he buys it within the expiry date. He buys it for 90. Obviously, if the price now doesn't go to 100, he's lost money or whatever, doesn't matter. But remember, this person has an asset, and I'm coming to this right now, has an asset. But so he bought the house, person B bought the house for 100, but it's actually worth 200 on the day he bought it, but he still pays 90. That's the power of options trading. You don't have to, you're not obligated to pick up the stuff. This person can pay £10 deposit and never buy the property, right? But if he sees the property obviously jump to 200, he's going to jump in and buy for the 90 because he's just made himself 100 free. That's what the power of options. You understand what I'm trying to say now? This is the power of options, right? And the same thing with sell as well, with put as well. You can do the same thing. Now, coming back to the point where I've made regarding the fact about how this person has a piece of land. Now, this is the most important part. The land is very important here. You have to understand. So we need to go back to the land. So let's go back to the land. Actually, let's kill all of that. Land. So what we've got, person A has a land. So actually the person A has something to sell. It's not like he's not selling some imaginary options. He's selling a building on a land that will be made in the future. Okay, very simple. What do you think happens when someone does a BTC or an Ethereum option? Right? They say, I buy at this price. What does the exchange have to do? The exchange who does a BTC option must hold the actual amount. So BTC option has to buy BTC and hold until that day, because they promised to pay that person who done it a certain amount. You understand? They promised, so they have to hold the exact amount. So even though this person the person B only paid 10, for example, or a fraction of the price, the exchange has to buy the whole thing. Now, if the options expire, guess what? The opposite they have to do. The exchange has to go and sell to liquidate and give the money to the winning party, right? So or give the money to the winning party, or cut the losses, take the profit, whatnot. That's what they have to do. So they start off with an option, right? Which, we call it land here, just for the sake of it. This is an example. So this is an option. So if you're selling the option, you have to have the actual asset. Once you have the actual asset, then you're betting against buying and selling. And there's a lot more in there. And then obviously, if they expire and no one's bought it, well, the exchange is not going to sit there with money sitting in there and losing money. Imagine the exchange bought it at 60K. Imagine the exchange bought it at 50K. They're not going to be losing money. Obviously, they're not going to lose money all the time. Exchange is always going to win either way. They're going to get the fees. But what I'm trying to say here is there's a lot more as in the sense that the exchanges have certain algorithms and certain engines put in place where they do have the Bitcoin available, but they don't really have to buy. There are different mechanics. Again, this is more to do with technology, different mechanics in there that we can talk about. So I hope this kind of demonstration of me doing some crazy drawings here kind of made sense on what options is and how it actually works. So what's happening? So it's a lot more than it's not complicated. It's actually quite simple. That's the beautiful thing about options. It is very, very simple. I have actually personally traded some options before, but then again, I'm not one of those who's just betting on it. I mean, if I know it's going to go up, I'll just buy the damn thing and just sit on it. I'd rather have the actual assets because remember, I don't trust everybody, so I have a bit of a trust issue. So I'd rather hold my own asset in my own wallet. So like Binance, this, that, whatever today, all these FUD and everything, honestly, it doesn't bother me because majority of my funds are actually in a cold storage. As I said, they're locked away. Now, why do I have this here? My God, you're probably still asking me, right? Okay, let's have a look and see why I have this here on a bigger picture. So what I've did here, I've literally gone ahead and put some Fibs here. I said, I want to put some Fibonacci. I want to see what the hell is going on here. So what I did was I found the longest available chart, which is a BTC index chart. And I said, if I put this on the high and then the low, right? So on the low, and then if I just track it, that's all I want to do. I just want to track it. It seems like when we ever have a top in the future, the bounce, right? So in the future, when we start having another run, so for example, we break the all-time high, we start having another run, we literally bounce on this 1618 golden ratio. It's pretty fascinating, right? We bounce on that. Okay, fine. Once we've bounced on that, so we say, okay, fine. What was the next time it done a peak? Where did it bounce? Well, coincidentally, look, 1618. Right? So we do have this 1618. There seems to be a bounce on that all the time, coincidentally, right? Every single time there seems to be a bounce on there. So we had this 2017 high, right? 2013 high. And then this was what was it? Yeah, so 2013. And then we're climbing up to 2017, as you can see, 2017. And this is powerful. Look at this. We actually have a major dump here. Let's have a look at the dump, right? Let's have a look at the dump. So we have a 40% dump here, and we bounce on that line. So I thought, okay, let's have a look. Let's see, is this a continuation pattern? Is this something that happens regularly? What's going on? So we have a 2017 high here. We come all the way down here, and we say, okay, fine, let's zoom in a little bit, right? Let's say, okay, fine, exactly on the dot. What happens? Well, look, we had a bounce here. We actually had a bounce here. Now, isn't this a bit fascinating how, we have certain things happening, but there's a continuation pattern. Doesn't matter how many times we peak out, right? We always bounce on a particular level. It's a bit freaky, right? It doesn't matter where you do it. Every time we seem to be having a peak, so the previous high and the current low, lowest low. So you look for the previous high, the lowest low of that particular time zone, and it always has a golden ratio. So the golden ratio multiplier, which is telling us that every time we can double up on our 1.16. So here there's a bit of a discrepancy, but it doesn't matter. Look at it. It's so beautiful. When you look at this, it is so, so beautiful that you see how the Fibonacci is very, very relevant, right? Fibonacci is very, very relevant. How the hell did this thing over so many years follow this? Well, I'll tell you how it followed all of this. It went through the Fibonacci's. It did it based on the Fibonacci. How many people are tracking this for that many times? How many people know it's going to do that in the future? No one does. Fibonacci seems to know. This is weird, right? How the Fibonacci is basically giving you this particular scene here. Fibonacci is giving you these particular support ranges. And I won't be surprised if this is the beginning of something else, because this is the support. In fact, we're not even on the support. How beautiful is that? We are currently, our candle currently is above, way above the support. The support is at 30,080, 800. So I saw this and I was like, wow, okay, this is something that needs to be spoken about. Again, Fibonacci, the reason I'm talking about is, remember, I'm a massive fan of Fibonacci. I do everything based on Fibonacci. Here, this is the oldest chart, so everyone knows about this chart. It's the oldest chart. Again, remember, once upon a time, I told you every single line here is relevant on the way down and on the way up. On the way up, as you can see, we are facing on the lines. These are predictions I've made. These are lines, right? On the line, we are facing that resistance at this present moment, right? We were looking at there was another thing I was doing the other day. So this is something I was doing the other day, right? And this is what I saw. So I'm looking at the entire market and I'm saying, like, okay, how far, where are we? And we did form this wedge, which we did break. So remember, a ascending wedge, right? A upwards wedge is bearish, and we did that. A downwards wedge, which is this one, right? A downward wedge is bullish because it has more power to break out. So obviously we did our breakdown here. We're doing all of our magics here, and now we're trying to get back into this zone. But remember, this is a long time. This is over a year. This is over a year we've done this, right? Once we get back into the zone, I'll tell you where the major resistance for us is, this red line. And you all know I've talked about this particular red line before. This red line is a continuation all the way from 2010. So this line we are tracking from 2010. So you have to understand where our mega resistance is. We want to get above this line. And I can assure you, once we get above this line, we're going to see peaks like this. And peaks like this over the line, just look at the price. I won't even bother saying anything else, because there are some crazy numbers that we might end up seeing. But I'm just excited, because as long as we're below this line, it's a different story. It is an absolute different story. When we go above this line, my God, things just change. So let's have a look and see what happens anyway. We're just going to be optimistic, see what's going on. But let's get rid of this one. Actually, let's get rid of this one. But I hope this kind of makes sense to you. This Fibonacci is just, I love my Fibonacci's. But this was a beautiful Fibonacci thing that I saw. And I hope we've kind of explained how we had just a few institutions here and then every other institution here. What a coincidence. Everybody's interested. We're interested. And then we start seeing these patterns, right? We start seeing these patterns. And everything, all of these patterns, everything we've got here. And if we take this line, and I'll show you what I mean. If we take everything and we say, right, let's put these on a line and we put it down here. You can have the options, you can have all of this, but you can't beat the Fibs. Look at this. You cannot beat the Fibs. The Fibs, they always tell you what needs to happen next. Look at this. The Fib, perfect here. We broke wick below here. We had perfect here. So the Fibs are just saying that this is 1618. I mean, you can't get, this is just, beautiful. Look at it. Look at it. Anyway, so guys, what I'll do today, I'm sure, I don't know if anyone's got the old chart. If you have the link from yesterday or whatever, if you copied it, then you're great. If you haven't copied it or taken a screenshot, unfortunately, I am going to change it, because I believe there are a few people who would really love to see this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just adjust this a little bit, because I don't want to confuse them. I'll put it around here. Let's put it around here. So I'm doing this in the video so you understand why. I'll put it around here. Then what I'll do, I'll take a line and I'll put a punch a line through, so that way, there you go, it's a thinner line. And so when you are looking, this is the Fibonacci 1618 level, and it doesn't confuse you too much. And what I'm doing is I'm going to be putting this one on the public link available below in the description, guys. So there's so many links, by the way, so check them out, whatnot. And yeah, leave a comment, let me know. Like, share and subscribe, and let's grow the community. So far it's growing so much as well. I'm quite happy. I think we hit 1,400 subscribers recently. But yeah, we're going to bring out more exciting stuff. But again, coming back to Binance, guys, don't worry too much about it. But most importantly, as I said, it's just one of their things. The news is blowing up. FCA is not doing anything. No one's doing anything, right? Ultimately, there are guidelines you've got to follow. It's not the first time I've seen it. I've seen it many, many times. But Binance made one mistake. I do admit that. They shouldn't have put it on their website because they do get checked out. All they had to do was basically not bother about talking about it. And coincidentally, they would have been fine. But if they have a parent company and they have a side company, this can be a problem. So I think it's just how they went about it. They should have spoken to me. Honestly, they should have spoken to me. I could have helped them out because there is ways around, and nothing illegal, by the way, it's completely legal. There's a certain rules that FCA you have to maintain. As long as you maintain those and keep your mouth shut and stop, let the FCA do its thing, you're fine. FCA is not a bad thing. They're the watchdog, fine, whatever. They're not a bad thing. And if Binance is doing it with the FCA, that is good for everybody. That means that we are going to have an FCA regulated company with financial backing and protection. Other than that, adios amigos. I'll see you on another one.
Bitcoin is a bank in cyberspace. Monetary energy, core of the earth, doubles every year. Listen to my words. Selling doesn't hurt. Selling is absurd. It's like cutting off your wings, but you want to be a bird.